Some cool stories, huh? Well, I went to a real orgy one time. I can talk about it because I didn't participate. Well, my real name is Charles, but I go by Chuck. Chuck Yates. My hometown's Bellevue. I've lived there 31 years. And my occupation, I've been in radio all my life. I have 4 brothers and 3 sisters. I'm the 5th. I'm the 6th of all of them. I'm the 5th boy is what I meant. Well, see, I did quite a few things, oddly enough. I had my own business, like a Roto-Rooter guy. And then I also, when I was in college, I worked as a soda jerk, they called it back then. Been a garbage man, worked in a sewage treatment plant. Was a construction laborer. That was the worst thing. I got drafted to save me from that. That's pretty much it. Been a lifeguard. Done a lot of things before I settled into radio. I almost feel like I had 2 lives, And so when I got 28, when I was 28 years old and started at Z92, kind of got settled into that as really my first real full-time gig where I realized, well, I'm 28 years old, I better do something and kind of settle down. But even through all that, I coached for 30 years, all kinds of basketball and football with kids, baseball too, as a matter of fact. Never once thought about having my own kid, not once really in my mind. And then, as I mentioned, this thing with Chris, and we got married in 6 weeks. And so all of a sudden I had this new whole chapter of my life open. And so the biggest thing is being a father. It's just incredible. Because I didn't get married till I was 32. So I had this other life before I met my wife and had children and settled down. Now, it was cool being on the air at KLOS in Los Angeles. It was very cool. The #1 rock station in the United States. But I wasn't an employee. I was on there doing a shift for my brother. But that was cool for that, 6 hours or whatever it was. But actually, the most fun I really ever had on radio was, in 1977, I moved to El Paso, Texas, and turned a religious station. I turned a religious station into a rock station, KPAS for the Pass, El Paso. And that was really exciting because I got to program a station sounded exactly what I would play for you. I was the man, I programmed it, and everybody played what I said was going to be played. And it was great. It sounded great. Great ratings, unbelievable. The other time that I had the most fun was I had worked at Z92 for 22 years. I was gone from there for, at least 10 years. And then they called me back. This was in the last 4 or 5 years. And that was the most fun because it wasn't my primary job. So I didn't worry about screwing up or blowing it or saying something wrong because, okay, I'm fired. The big deal. I have my other job. And so I was just so loosey-goosey. Right away, the ratings just took off, and Z92, for the first time in their history, won every radio cell on the ratings that 3-month period. Isn't that crazy? Since then, the jocks are just kind of phoning it in. I know I used to be, people would laugh and think it was funny because I sometimes would sing on the air. Not a whole song, but songs fading, blah. I'd get into it. Every song, everything, And now it's like, it's computerized, of course. So they're there, they'll play one song, an electronic thing will play between it so you don't even hear a real human. Play another song, and then the jock comes on and says, oh, that was so-and-so, that was so-and-so on Z92. And there's no radio show anymore. It's a music show now. It's a big difference to me. I guess it's from the heart, but you'd have to know what I'm talking about. But it's changed terribly. Well, in my mind and eyes, an orgy is when a lot of people get together and copulate freely at will and when they want to. I was invited, it was in San Francisco, of course, and you had to sign a release when you walked in. I was only 20 years old, and I was still the boy from Nebraska at the time, kind of. They were filming it, that's why we had to sign these releases. And that's another reason I didn't partake. And I just really took a liking to Jefferson Airplane because I just really liked their music. And got to throw equipment around with them for a while, and Had a lot of fun. Paul Kantner was real influential in my life. He was one of the leaders of the band, guitar player, singer from Jefferson Airplane. Went on to start the Starship, and that's pretty much it with Jefferson Airplane. Before there was had to be a mixer bowl this big around, full of rolled joints, full. So when I left, that bowl was pretty well empty. And I was, I lived in North Omaha on Florence Boulevard. Well, it's kind of northeast Omaha now, you know, and that has kind of a bad reputation to it. Where my parents lived was called the Prettiest Mile, and it still may be, but over their backyard is a terrible place in Omaha. I mean, there's stuff going on there every night. His real name's Leo Athspath Jr. He went by the name of Teddy Bear. Total freak, long hair, long beard, looked like a hermit or a gnome. And Lowell Athspath Jr., Teddy Bear, was so influential in his mind that he invited the Beatles to his wedding. Nobody showed. But Magnolia Thunder Pussy was a food store. They had some exotic food and some exotic parties. And I mean, they had foods like Otto's Anus, which is this incredible curried beef. They had a Barney's Montana Banana, which was an unsplit banana split, 2 ice cream balls, and chocolate flakes and whipped cream with a cherry on it. Phoebe's Fudge Cake. My very first radio interview was with the Kinks, and I was working for my brother in San Francisco at the very first underground station ever in the United States. Here I am, you know, this dumbass kid from Omaha, Nebraska, interviewing Ray Davies and his brother and his, you know, the iconic British band. Actually, my brother was really good friends with Pete Townsend. I met a lot of people, mostly rock stars, of course. If there's a bucket list, I'd like to make some moonshine. I think just the process of it. I mean, I would like to do that. I don't know why. I watched the stupid show, you know, and I'd really like to do that. There's a couple other things I've thought about, but I've forgotten right now because I know they're impossible for me to do. So.